Greetings, thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times for Saturday, September 25, 2021. For today's editorial, an encouraging outlook for Philippine recovery. Earlier this week, the Asian Development Bank or ADB presented an update to its Asian Development Outlook or ADO 2021. And although the news for Southeast Asia as a whole was troubling in some respects, we can take heart that the Philippines, in the judgment of the ADB's Global View experts, is well positioned for recovery for the economic downturn of the coronavirus pandemic. The ADB publishes the Asian Development Outlook twice a year, in April and September. In the September update, the ADB maintained its April forecast of 4.5% gross domestic product or GDP growth for this year and 5.5% for 2022, noting signs of a gradual recovery in the country's economy, with the upturn in domestic demand and favorable external trends aligned with the ADO's projections announced in April. The report also cited sustained growth in public infrastructure spending, improving consumer confidence, a stronger than expected rebound in imports, including imports for capital goods and raw materials, and anticipated increases in merchandise exports, receipts from business process outsourcing, and higher remittances from Filipinos overseas as drivers of the economic recovery. The ADB also acknowledged the government's policy reforms, in particular the National Employment Recovery Strategy adopted in June, focusing on recovery in quality jobs, upskilling workers, expanding social protection, and active labor market programs. One big concern of the ADB, both on a regional and global scale, is the sharp increase in poverty that the coronavirus has caused. Data from other sources has shown that most of the gains in reducing poverty under the Duterte administration from 2016 to 2019 have been completely wiped out, and that the extent of poverty in the country may in fact be worse now than 5 years ago. The biggest factor in the Philippines' success or failure, just as it is in every other country, is how quickly and efficiently the vaccination campaign can be carried out. For all the criticisms leveled against the government's conduct of its vaccine drive, much of it entirely deserved. The ADO at least shows that our situation here could be worse. Other countries in the region that might be expected to be doing better, such as Thailand and Vietnam, are actually struggling to carry out vaccinations. The Philippines lags a bit because the government was late in getting the vaccination drive rolling, but is otherwise maintaining a good pace now, data presented by the report shows. One big concern of the ADB, both on a regional and global scale, is the sharp increase in poverty that the coronavirus has caused. Data from other sources has shown that most of the gains in reducing poverty under the Duterte administration from 2016 to 2019 have been completely wiped out, and that the extent of poverty in the country may in fact be worse now than 5 years ago. To that end, the ADO devotes an entire chapter to agricultural development issues and ideas, since this sector is a problematic linchpin of several broadly interconnected national concerns: poverty and employment, food security and public health, environmental management, and macroeconomic performance. The report certainly does not suggest that the Philippines is not paying enough attention to agriculture or is pursuing unproductive policies, but the implication is that giving agriculture an even higher priority than it already has is vital to achieving the economic growth forecast. One additional piece of good news that did not come from the ADO, but rather the online briefing about it on Wednesday, was that fears of wider economic chaos as a result of the potential collapse of China's largest real estate developer, Evergrande, are probably not warranted. This has been an issue of growing concern here in the Philippines due to the extensive investment connections with China, but in ADB's view, China has sufficient resources and capital controls to prevent a widespread disaster if Evergrande fails. While the Philippines still faces many risks, it is encouraging that the expert and influential assessment of the ADB is that the country is basically on the right track to recovery. The current administration and the next one, whoever it may be, that will be installed in the middle of next year should take care not to let the positive momentum falter. And that's the editorial for Saturday, September 25, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram and listen to the Voice of the Times.